Hey everybody, how's it going out there? It's Joe, and it's January 30th, 2021. I wanted to make a small little video today to tell you something that happened to me while I was in Pennsylvania visiting my family over the holiday, this past holiday, over Christmas and New Year's. I was driving in my father's car. My father has satellite radio in the car, and it just was on some kind of like 60s station. 60s at 6 or something like that, you know? And you know how they would have advertisements for the radio station, and it would be like small little snippets all collaged together real quick, you know, like 60s at 6, and then it would have all these songs. Well, I'm driving, and one of those tiny little, literally 3 or 4 second snippets that was in this collage was the chorus of a song that I haven't heard in an unbelievably long time. Like, I had completely forgotten about the song. I always kind of just like wondered what the hell it was, and there's a story behind the song. So basically, when I was like 4 or 5 years old, my toys were 45s. I had a stack of 45s this big, and I was, spinning 45s as a kid like crazy. And I used to get my 45s from as gifts. Like I would go, my mother had a girlfriend whose boyfriend was a DJ, and so every time I would go over there, he would give me a stack of 45s that he didn't even really care about, and to me, I didn't care what they were, I just wanted them. I was in love with 45s. So there was this one 45 that I think either I had or my uncle had, and it was this song that was like this weird song. It was just weird, and I used to love it when I was a kid. I totally loved it. And so there, every time I would go over to see my uncle, I would be like, hey, play that song, play that song. He'd drive me crazy because I'd always want him to play that 45. So next to where we lived in walking distance was a plaza, and in that plaza was a record store and a restaurant. And my mom and my uncle used to go to this plaza at least once a week because it was in walking distance, and it was something to do. It was like the early 70s, like 1973, and I had to have been 5 years old. And so we went to the Liberty Plaza. My mom bought me this mystery record. She bought me the record, and I was so excited. And then we went to the Plaza restaurant to have lunch. And now the Plaza restaurant at that time had diner booths, like booths that you would find in a diner. So I was sitting on the inside of the booth against the wall, and I was bored, just being silly. But I had my new 45, and I was putting it up against the wall, and I was just kind of like doing this to it, like moving up against the wall. And my mom said, Joey, I wouldn't do that. If you drop it, it could damage it. And lo and behold, it slipped out of my hand, and it fell between the wall and the booth. Now, at first I thought it just fell and I could get it underneath the booth. But when I went underneath the booth, it wasn't there. It literally slid between the wall and the booth. It was gone forever, unless the booth got ripped out. So I was so upset because I finally had this record that I liked, and I never even had a chance to play it. I was so bummed out. So, and I never really remembered over the years what the song was, but I did remember one thing about it, and it was just the hook. Of course, the hook is the one thing that I can remember. And the hook was, here come the judge, here come the judge. That's all I can remember from the song. Here come the judge. So, so basically, never got the song again, never heard the song again. And now 48 years later, here I am driving in my father's car, and I heard just that snippet in that radio ad. Here come the judge, here come the judge. And I was like, oh my God, that's the song that I had when I was a kid that I lost, in between the booth. So that started me on this whole, well, I got to find out, what this song was, because it was driving me crazy. I wanted to hear that song again. It had been so long. So I went on the internet, and of course the internet's unbelievable. You can track down so many things. So the first thing I did was I went to Spotify and I did a search for Here Comes the Judge. And there's a bunch of songs called Here Comes the Judge. And so I was listening to Here Comes the Judge, all these different ones, and none of them sounded familiar to me. And I was like, oh man, I didn't think that I was going to get a chance to hear this song again. So then I did a search on YouTube for Here Comes the Judge. Well, actually, it was Google. I did a Google search for Here Comes the Judge, and immediately all these different things started coming up. Like, first of all, I didn't realize that Here Comes the Judge was part of a comedy like skit or routine from Laugh-In, which I totally wouldn't have known when I was a kid at all. And so that's where I guess it originated. Sammy Davis Jr. used to be a judge on there and say, "Here comes the judge," or something like that. And there was obviously multiple songs called Here Comes the Judge, but again, they didn't sound anything like the one that I remember. But in that Google search, there was some YouTube entries. And so I went to YouTube and I was checking out all the different ones, and I found it. I can't believe it. I can't believe I found it, but it is the one that I had when I was a kid. And it's by a band called the Magistrates. And immediately when I played it, I knew that was the one. And it ends up that it was kind of like a novelty record at the time. It came out in like 1968. So, of course, if you go to eBay these days, you can find, it's unbelievable that in today's day and age that I was able to actually find copies for sale, right? Used copies of the song for sale. So I ended up, where is it? I ended up buying it. And after 48 years, it's so crazy. After 48 years, I got the 45 back. It's crazy. It's the Magistrates, Here Comes the Judge. It's so crazy. When you go on YouTube, you'll see that there's like multiple label designs because it's been released so many times on 45 over the years, But this is, I was able to score a disc jockey record version of it, the yellow label. And the quality of this is great. So it's just unbelievable hearing it. It was like something that I hadn't heard, again, 48 years of not hearing something and then rediscovering it. It was such a mind blower. It was so crazy. And the song is hilarious. So I'm going to do a needle drop of this song, and I hope you enjoy it. The Magistrates, Here Come the Judge. See you next time.
Hear ye, court is now in session.
Here comes the judge, here comes the judge, order in the courtroom, here comes the judge, here comes the judge, here comes the judge, order in the courtroom, here comes the judge. Everybody rise, now everyone be seated. Here comes the prisoner and he's gonna tell his story.
Tell your story, baby, tell it to the judge and jury.
To the judge and jury, to the judge and jury.
big fat.
Here come the judge, here come the judge, order in the courtroom, here come the judge. Here come the judge, here come the judge, order in the courtroom, here come the judge. Here come the judge, here come the judge, order in the courtroom, here come the judge. Here come the judge, here come the judge, order in the courtroom, here come the judge. Here come the judge, here come the judge, order in the courtroom, here come the judge.
And now, folks, it's suck it to me time.
Suck it to me, 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 suck it to me.
So that was the judge?
Very interesting.